I awakened my will thigh on the nth blind date. The blind date talked eloquently. I have fully paid houses in Thompson, one in Shenzhen, Bay one, and a shirt cost 20,000 yuan. I stared at the total asset value, 6 million yuan above his head, and then silently poured a bowl of chili oil on his 20,000 yuan shirt. I saw 99 floating above his head, and then the total asset value was instantly updated to total asset value 6 million. 9 yuan. Is this the kind of loyal and honest son-in-law my mother talked about? How did a man with a debt of 6 million yuan enter the blind date market? You are sick. The blind date jumped up from the chair, shaking off the chili oil on his clothes, and almost did a tap dance. My shirt is 20,000 yuan. Can you afford it? I quickly took a photo of him. It's not shameful to wear pins these clothes. I asked you to come to the blind date, not to cosplay as a garbage bag. How can you pretend? The man pointed at me and started to curse. I slapped his hand away. Don't come out to harm others if you are in debt of 6 million. If you yell again, I will make you a little red potato. People around the restaurant began to point fingers at him, and the man covered his face and ran away. It's so annoying. This man took the initiative to choose a very expensive restaurant, and now he wants me to pay. The nth blind date failed again, and I went home with a gloomy face. My mother came out of the kitchen as soon as she heard the door open and complained to me. During dinner, Xiao Zhang said you threw chili oil on him on purpose. What's wrong with you? How many blind dates have you messed up? Don't enter this house if you don't succeed next time. Her mouth kept opening and closing, but I just stared blankly at the total assets above her head and stood there for a long time. It was a lot of money. I knew my mother inherited my father's estate, but I never knew it was so rich. Did you hear me? My mother suddenly rushed over and grabbed my arm. I gasped in pain, but she kept chattering. Xiao Zhang said, you are uneducated. Where do you want me to put my face? I was really angry. Xiao Zhang, I thought he was your own son. He is in debt of 6 million and came to the blind date to commit fraud. What, do you want your daughter to accompany someone else's son to pay off his debts? My mother was stunned. How would I know? It's all your fault. You usually have high standards, but now you are left out and can only have a blind date with this kind of ugly guy. Mom, why do you always talk to a stranger's son? But don't understand. I really don't understand. Just because I didn't grow up with you, you have no feelings for me. But it was obviously you who left me in your hometown and refused to take me with you. My mother looked away and her tone softened. How can you say that to your mother? I'm just worried about your unemployment, and I thought it would be easier to have a man to take care of you. I got annoyed when she mentioned unemployment. I have a talent for drawing and wanted to study design in college, but my mother thought the tuition was too expensive and refused to agree. She made me study marketing instead. However, I have limited talent for marketing, so I finally tried to switch to design. Unfortunately, I was unlucky. The company I worked for 4 or 5 years went bankrupt, and I became unemployed. I thought that coming to my mother's house and living at home after being unemployed would save me some rent expenses. However, after half a month, my mother seemed very unhappy with me living at home. She asked me to go on blind dates every day, hoping to drag me out as soon as possible. Mom, didn't you buy a high-paying job for your sister? Then you should buy me a good job too. Not only can I get my money back quickly, but you don't have to worry about me not having enough money to take care of myself. As soon as I finished speaking, my mother's face suddenly darkened. How can you buy a job just like that? It costs a lot of money. As far as I know, the so-called a lot of money is less than 1/50 of the total asset value on her head. Then you don't have to spend money to buy it for your sister. My mother put on a very reasonable look. Your sister has been weak since she was a child. How can she bear the hardship of finding a job? I almost laughed out of anger. My sister can't bear it, but I can. Just then, my sister Yuan came back from get off work. As soon as she entered the door, I saw the total asset value above her head. It was actually 200,000. It seems that the job my mother bought for her is really profitable. As soon as Yuan came back, My mother immediately greeted her and asked about her well-being. Baby, are you tired from work? Are you hungry? Mom cooked Lillian white fungus. I asked, do you have the mung bean soup I said I wanted to drink this morning? My mother looked at me reproachfully. Anyway, it's all sweet soup. Your sister loves to drink Lillian white fungus. She is exhausted after a day of work. You as a sister should take care of your sister more. I thought to myself, Yuan's job from 9 to 5 with a lot of money and little work, close to home, can it be as tiring as my blind date? In the end, I couldn't even get a bowl of mung bean soup. I was too lazy to watch their mother-daughter affection, so I went into the room and looked at the number above my head in the mirror. Total assets, value 32,892. 6 yuan. I laughed to myself. Just then, I found that there were inconspicuous countdown next to the total assets above my head. I took a closer look and found that it was a countdown of 6 months. Will my ability disappear after 6 months? The jealousy and unwillingness just now disappeared, and I calmed down instantly. This sudden ability means that God finally treats me as a granddaughter, and I have to catch this wave of benefits steadily. My biological mother is definitely unreliable. I have to rely on myself to achieve financial freedom through this ability within 6 months. I pondered in the room all night and listed countless plans in the memo. First of all, I ruled out starting a business. There is no entrepreneurial gene in my family, and I don't even understand marketing. If I start a business and the wealth disappears after half a year, I will lose all my ancestors' pain. So the most suitable way to make money from my physique is to make a fortune quietly, wait for 6 months after the wealth disappears, and I can live a lifetime just by living on internet. After thinking about it, I decided to set a stage goal for myself first, telling myself not to rush and to start with small money and make steady progress, and then slowly make big money. I thought about the blind date that was ruined today, and a plan came to my mind. Since I can use this ability to identify loading in the blind date field, I can also use it to help others. I immediately opened up a blind date to Meets Comeback service on the social platform, charging 200 yuan per time. In the first week, I only received 4 customers, all of whom were young ladies with relatively rich personal assets, and they contacted me with an attitude of testing the waters. When they were on a blind date, I lurked in the restaurant and observed. I can only say that the current blind date market is really watery, and the blind dates of the 4 young ladies are not very honest. I told them to be careful and go back to check the other party's assets. As expected, they came to thank me one after another. Not only did they pay 100 yuan for the scumbag fee, but they also reimbursed me for food and transportation expenses and even gave me a big red envelope. Adding up all these bits and pieces, I made 3,000 yuan in the first week. In the second week, my business suddenly picked up. It turned out that a young lady was a small internet celebrity before, and in order to thank me, she specially recommended me in her account. In this way, my income in the second week directly exceeded 40,000 yuan. I stood in front of the full-length mirror, admiring the total asset value of 76,000 yuan on the top of my head, grinning with my big teeth bared. My mother came over at this time, pushed my head and complained, "You have been running outside every day for the past half month, not looking for a job or going on blind dates. What do you want? You just spend money to live in my house and want me to serve you." I didn't like what I heard. "Mom, I gave you 2,000 yuan to buy groceries in the past half month. You want a high-paying job. Has she ever given you money? And what does serve mean? I just cooked my meal. If I'm not here, can you and Yuan just open your mouth and drink a few sips of air from the window every day and be full?" My mother blamed me again. "Why are you so harsh and ignorant, kid? I don't understand. Why do you only chase me away? Why not Yuan?" My mother said earnestly. "Mom is not chasing you away. You have been independent since you were young. Now you are so old. How can you stay at home every day? Your sister is different. Your sister is younger than you and not independent. If I let her live outside, I will be worried all day long. How can I not be independent when I have no parents to take care of me since I was young?" I thought about it. Since she didn't want to see me and I didn't want to listen to her chanting every day, there was another way. Mom, didn't you just buy a new house half a year ago? Since you are so annoying me, then I will live in that new house. My mother's face froze and she didn't say anything for a long time. I knew she didn't want to see her expression, so I continued to test. Then I will move there with my sister. That house is far from your sister's company. She waved her hand impatiently. Okay, don't say it. The house has just been renovated, and it needs to be ventilated to remove the smell. Okay, after all, she doesn't have me in her heart. I don't want to talk to her anymore, so I went back to my room to meet with tomorrow's clients. The next day, I received two clients. It was already 4 p.m. when I finished. I didn't want to go home yet, so I sat in the cafe for a while. The old house is yours. I don't need a house either. Apart from the things in the prenuptial agreement, we will each have half of the other assets after marriage. At the booth next to me, a middle-aged woman dressed exquisitely sorted out the materials in her hands and said to the middle-aged man opposite, "That's it, let's part ways amicably." The middle-aged man nodded and said, "Okay," and his gentle attitude seemed to satisfy the woman. It seemed that they were a couple preparing for a peaceful divorce. I took a sip of coffee and ate the melon in silence. But the next moment, my attention was attracted by the top of the middle-aged man's head. There was a shiny amount besides the shiny Mediterranean Sea. Total assets values are. I stopped the rich sister in the bathroom of the cafe. The rich woman was touching up her makeup in front of the mirror. When she heard me call her sister, she smiled and asked me what was going on enthusiastically. I got straight to the point. Just now, I accidentally overheard your conversation with your husband. I think you may need to check your husband's bank account. The rich woman was stunned, and I said, he may have transferred his assets in advance in order not to share the money with you. The rich woman said coldly, he has been honest and timid for half his life. How could he have thought of this? I shrugged. I have met nearly 100 men on blind dates these days. All of them say they are honest, but in fact, most of them are self-taught and calculating women. Little sister, I don't know if you heard it from hearsay or watched too many short videos, but this is my family affair and you, a stranger, have crossed the line. I am a person who listens to advice. Since she has said so much, I can only respect the fate of others. When I got home, I thought I could spend this peaceful day safely, but my sister gave me a critical hit. Yuan came back with my mother. I watched the number above Yuan's head change to total assets worth 7 million yuan. 37 million? But she only had 200,000 half a month ago. I thought of the new house I mentioned to my mother yesterday. If I remember correctly, the full price of the house is 5 million, which is exactly the extra money Yuan has today. It seems that my mother gave the full price to my sister to prevent me from thinking about the house. I didn't even eat dinner and cried in my room. Since I was weaned, my mother has never taken care of me. Instead, she sent me back to my hometown to grow up wildly. I almost heard about everything that happened in the family from relatives. For example, my parents gave birth to another sister, and my father passed away unexpectedly. When I was growing up, I hardly saw my parents, and I could only see them during the Chinese New Year. We had been mother and daughter for more than 20 years, but my familiarity and affection with my mother are not even as good as her and her neighbors. So I understand that she will never be able to balance the bowl of water between me and Yuan, but I didn't expect that she really didn't feel guilty about me at all, and even treated me as a thief to be on guard. I cried myself to sleep, and when I woke up the next day, my heart suddenly felt unusually calm. After all, my disappointment had accumulated over the years. After the fatal blow yesterday, I was completely disappointed. I am now more sober than ever. I want to move out as soon as possible, make a lot of money, and leave my mother and Yuan forever. After completing 2 days scumbag service, I passed by the lottery shop, looked at the mirror in front of the counter, and suddenly thought of a way to make money. I walked in, picked up the scratch cards one by one in front of the mirror, watched the numbers above my head change, and finally picked 3 with the largest winning amounts. In the next few days, I helped people identify loads at the blind date venue and bought scratch cards at various lottery shops. I didn't dare to make a fuss, but I still made a fortune through the lottery. I took the money and went to buy gold without stopping. When I bought the gold, I happened to pass by a park, which was full of grandpas and dancing in the square. I didn't care at first, but just as I was about to walk over, I found that the asset value of these uncles and aunts all increased by 20 million. A burst of ecstasy swept through my mind, and I immediately rushed over and grabbed an aunt. Auntie, are you living in the nearby community and came here to exercise? The aunt laughed. We came from Shenyang community. Shenhong Shentuurity. There are 8 or 9 bus stops away from here, right? Shenhong community? I thought for a while, and it seemed that the 5 million house my mother gave to Yuan was Jin, Yu Manting, opposite Shenyang community. I immediately jumped on the bus and took the bus to Shenyang community. Jin Yu Manting and Shenyang community are separated by a street. I looked at the residents on both sides. The residents of Shenyang community all increased their asset value by 20 million, while the residents of Jinyu Manting were fine. I breathed a sigh of relief. I am a bit crooked, and I don't want my mother and you want to be so lucky to catch up with the demolition again, but I can catch up. The demolition policy is not expected to be announced yet, so I have to hurry up and buy an old and dilapidated house in Shunhuan district before it is announced. However, the money I have on hand is not enough to buy an old and dilapidated house in full, so I have to hurry up and think of other ways to make money quickly. When I got home by car, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. There was no doubt that my mother would not leave any food for me. I turned around and resigned myself to finding food. But when I walked into a very famous restaurant nearby, I ran into my mother and sister inside. The two of them were talking and laughing with a family of 3 across the round table. If I was not mistaken, the son of the family of 3 was holding Yuan's hand under the table. It seemed that he was Yuan's boyfriend. Yuan was indeed old enough to talk about marriage, and this meal was probably to meet the parents. I glanced at the family of 3 of Yuan's boyfriend and found that everyone had debts on their heads. The total debt of the 3 people was as high as 60 million, and my mother still smiled flatteringly at them, and it seemed that she didn't know the assets of the other party's family. Maybe I looked at her for too long. Yuan's future mother-in-law noticed me. "Excuse me, who are you?" My mother and sister turned around, and their faces suddenly changed. I smiled slightly. "I am Yuan's sister." Yuan's boyfriend's family was all stunned, and her boyfriend was puzzled. "Wan, why have I never heard that you have a sister? Is she a cousin?" My mother looked embarrassed, and I understood from her expression. I covered my mouth in surprise. So my mom and my sister never mentioned me, so I don't know if I'm their biological child. The embarrassment spread at the dinner table. My mom grabbed my arm and pulled me to the bathroom. "Dinner, you should know when to make trouble. This is your sister's marriage partner." I scratched my hand quietly. What did I make trouble about? I just told the truth. Did you abduct me? "Auntie," my mom also hesitated and softened her tone. "You understand my mother's painstaking effort. One's partner has very good family conditions and is a hot commodity. Mom is afraid that if she says that she has 2 daughters, she will not have the advantages of those families with only 1 daughter." I smiled falsely. "You're afraid that the man will worry that I, as the elder sister, will divide the family property with my sister, right?" Without waiting for my mother to speak, I walked quickly to the dining table and explained with a smile, "Uncle and Aunt, don't worry. My mother doesn't take me seriously, which means she doesn't plan to leave the family property to. Don't worry, Yuan is not an only child, but she is better than an only child. Her mother is partial." After I finished speaking, I turned around and left, regardless of my mother's angry obstruction. As soon as I reached the door, a woman suddenly grabbed me. I looked up and found that it was the rich woman who talked about the divorce agreement with her ex-husband in the cafe last time. "I have to thank you for this. Otherwise, I would have really played a trick on that old man." In the high-end restaurant, I enjoyed the delicious food generously treated by the rich woman, listening to her cursing with a glass of wine in hand. I haven't treated him badly, but I didn't expect that he, who is usually honest, would play tricks on me after the divorce. I comfort her. "Sister, calm down. Isn't it resolved now? It means that God favors you, and good days are still to come." When the rich woman heard the word solved, she smiled and said, "You speak so nicely." "Ben," she asked me, "what did you say just now?" I heard what you and your mother said. What are you going to do now? Continue to live in your mother's house? No, I said. I feel good after all the trouble today. I'm afraid she will tie me up and sell me to a strange man when I go back. The lady looked at me with sympathy. Well, I have an idle house in the city center. You can move in for free for a year. The location is good. It's convenient for you to go to work in any district. Fireworks suddenly burst out in my heart. I told people to do more good deeds in daily life. This is my blessing. I went home and started packing my luggage immediately. My mother walked up to me. As soon as she opened her mouth, I knew she was going to blame me. I spoke before her. Shut up, Auntie. The word Auntie seemed to awaken a trace of guilt in her, and she softened her voice. Why are you packing? Moving, always staying in strangers' houses. I'm afraid you'll eat crickets in your heart. I watched her eyes light up, but she quickly covered it up. She said she didn't care, but in fact I was still child for a few seconds. It turned out that she was so happy when I moved away. I closed the door and refused to communicate with her. Anyway, no matter whether I was wronged or not, or whether it was my fault, she always managed to blame it on me in the end. I was about to live a good life, and I didn't want to be affected by the bad luck in her words. The rich sister gave me the password, and I packed up with a grumble. When I went downstairs to find food, I found a new building 2 streets away. I went around the sales office and took a look, and found that there were quite a lot of people looking at the house. This is a good city center, and most of the people who come to see the house are rich. I looked at the strings of asset values above the heads of the people coming and going, and I felt like I had found a way to get rich again. In 360 industries, the most lacking is sales, the poorest are sales, and the fastest to get rich are also sales. Although I don't understand marketing, I have a hack now. While the golden finger is still there, it should be easier to make some money than to fight alone. So I started to participate in the on-the-job training the next day. On my first day at work, I met a piece off at me at a girl in her 20s who was brought by her parents to see a house. There was also a handsome guy next to her, and they looked very affectionate. The total asset value of the girl's family rose to a level that made me dizzy. For a moment, I couldn't tell whether it was money or pie. I immediately mobilized all the tenderness in my life to greet him. During the exchange, I found out that the handsome guy was a son-in-law. As you can see from the number on his head, that was only a fraction of the woman's asset value. This time, the rich girl was about to get married to the handsome guy, and the girl's parents wanted to give their daughter a house as one of the wedding gifts. They had already bought a villa, but they wanted to add a large flat. I smiled brightly, but I was actually envious and almost cried. It turns out that there are really people who buy houses just like buying vegetables. Just as I was about to continue the introduction, a young mother with a child accidentally squeezed into the son-in-law in the crowd, and her child's water bottle accidentally fell on the son-in-law's pants, splashing a large piece of milk stain. This pair of pants is definitely going to be scrapped. I was sweating coldly, fearing that this episode would make my fat meat fly away. But fortunately, the young mother apologized sincerely, and the rich girl was also very considerate. Just when I saw that this disaster was about to be easily overcome, I suddenly discovered something strange. The assets of the son-in-law and the young mother were reduced by the same amount. I am a suspicious person by nature, and I have seen countless scumbags in the blind date field during this period. I intuitively feel that there is a big thunder on the son-in-law. The vigilance of rich people cannot be so low. How did this son-in-law get together? When I was puzzled, I saw the rich girl holding the son-in-law's arm on, smiling happily. Okay, I guess she is in love. Dinner. A familiar voice came, and I turned around and saw that it was my mother. I looked behind her and found that she and Yuan came with Yi, Wan's boyfriend, and his family of 3. I raised my eyebrows. Are you here too, by a wedding house for your daughter? My mother couldn't hide her joy. Your sister will have to buy a wedding house when she gets married. Your brother-in-law's family is generous. They will pay for the down payment and decoration. The young couple will pay the loan together, and the house will be in both of their names. What a problem. She has already given her precious daughter a house worth 5 million yuan, but she is still rushing to pay the loan for her son-in-law. I responded coldly. In fact, I had previously considered whether to remind my mother that Yuan's fiance's family had a debt of 60 million yuan without telling them, but seeing my mother and my sister's spirit of rushes, I decided to help them. By the way, what are you doing here? My mother suddenly asked me. I pointed to my neat uniform, selling houses. Are you working as a sales lady? My mother frowned. Can't you find a decent job? Why do you have to embarrass yourself in public? I earn money through my own labor. How can it be embarrassing? I knew what she was thinking, that she had complained at home before, saying that there was a girl in the community who worked as a saleswoman, but she actually relied on her body to please rich men and achieved good results. Seeing that she still wanted to scold me, I rolled my eyes and said with a smile, "Since you are not satisfied with my job, then buy me a job." Sure enough, she immediately fell silent. I called my colleagues to entertain them, and my colleagues immediately handed over the drinks with a smile. At this time, the son-in-law happened to walk past us. I don't know whether it was too coincidental or too unlucky for the son-in-law. My mother's hand was blocked by other customers, and the coffee in her hand was spilled on the son-in-law's shirt. In a flurry of chaos, I found that the asset value of the son-in-law and the young mother's had decreased by the same amount again. The son-in-law had a very good mentality. He was not angry after being Liang Po Weiss. In order to make the rich girl's parents not come in vain, he immediately went to the clothing store outside the building to buy a set of clothes and put them on unbrushed back. When I took them to see the model house, I found that the young mother had followed them all the way. She had a gloomy face and would either accidentally bump into the son-in-law or accidentally run over his feet with the wheels of the child's cart when they were looking at the house, as if she was a lingering enemy. After leaving the model house, the son-in-law went to the bathroom. The rich girl was very satisfied with the house and pulled her parents to start planning how to decorate each area. I looked at the long list of huge asset values above their heads and hesitated. It is said that people should not interfere with the cause and effect of others, but after thinking about it, I decided to cross the line once. In case I can achieve the same effect as the rich sister last time, then the favor of this rich man may be more valuable than the commission of a house. Miss, there is something I may say that may be presumptuous. I look at them sincerely, but I would feel guilty if I didn't say it. When I said this, I deliberately glanced in the direction of the bathroom. The rich girl's mother keenly caught my action and became serious. The gentleman, I paused deliberately, seems to have complicated financial dealings with the young mother who has been following us. What do you mean? The rich girl was unhappy. Are you slandering my fiancé for cheating? You are just a salesperson. Don't meddle in other people's family affairs. I glanced at the rich girl's parents quietly, and from their expressions, they seemed to have listened to my words. I didn't say too much to be annoying and silently apologized and sent them off the property. Although the deal was not completed on the spot, I had a hunch that I would not lose money this time. In the next half month, I successfully sold 12 houses with the help of Fortune I. This is a high-end property in the city center with high housing prices and high commissions. In half a month, I successfully earned more than 5 million. I felt that the attitude of my colleagues around me was beginning to become a little strange. I decided to quit while I was ahead and submitted my resignation to my boss. On my last day at work, the former rich girl and her family of 3 found me. The rich girl was dejected, but her parents were very grateful to me. Fortunately, you mentioned it. That bastard actually gave birth to a son with another woman outside. The rich girl's mother patted her chest in fear and said, in order for his son to live a good life, he actually signed an agreement. I think he just wanted to get money from our family to support his family outside, he said and hugged his daughter. Luckily, my baby was not deceived. I looked at them and felt a little envious for a moment, even if the rich girl had insisted on being with the son-in-law before. Now that she found out about these things, her parents did not blame her, but felt very distressed for her. I couldn't help but think of Xiao Zhang, who was in debt of 6 million yuan that I met on the blind date that day. If I really married that Xiao Zhang and was cheated and inexplicably in debt after marriage, then even if the son-in-law was pushed to me by my mother personally, she would definitely only blame me for not knowing people well and put all the problems on me. At the end of the day, the rich girl's family learned that I was going to resign, and in order to thank me, they said they would give me an old house. We bought a lot of houses in the suburbs in our early years. Anyway, we couldn't live in them, and they would just feed mosquitoes if we left them there. The rich girl's mother listed the locations of those houses and showed them to me. Look, which one do you want? My previous sadness was instantly thrown to the back of my mind. It's just that I don't have a mother who loves me. What does it matter in front of a house? I looked at the listed locations, and as I ran my finger over them one by one, I secretly glanced at the glass wall in front of me. Every time I pointed at one, the corresponding asset value above my head would increase. These houses are all in the suburbs, and they must not be as valuable as those in the city. But when I pointed to the last one, the asset value above my head suddenly added a number that made me gasp. I want this one, I said without hesitation. The rich girl's father took a look at the one I'd chosen, was a little surprised. This one has the lowest price in the worst location. Do you really want this one? I nodded firmly. This most inconspicuous house will definitely make me a fortune in the future. In the following week, I rushed through various procedures. I not only won the potential stock in the suburbs, but also used all my assets to buy an old house in Shenyang community. Not only that, the rich girl also introduced me to her cousin's animation company. Although my life goal is to lie down and make money, I think I still have to be prepared for both situations in case the wealth I disappears in half a year and I haven't achieved financial freedom yet. I have to have a high-paying job to support my daily expenses. And I think I can still develop my own interests and hobbies appropriately. This animation company is very famous and has produced many popular animations. I really like painting. With the work experience of this big company, I can use the company's platform to get to know more people in the circle. If I want to go out on my own in the future, I will have resources and connections. The magnetic field of the new company and I are very compatible. As soon as I joined the company, I couldn't wait to decorate my workstation beautifully. Company, there are people of the same age here, and they are very nice to me. Although the work is busy and I have to work overtime almost every day, I am not short of money now. When working is no longer for making a living, but purely for enriching skills, everything will become very interesting. A week after I joined the company, our boss, the cousin of the rich girl, came back from a business trip. He was very polite and called me to the office to thank me on behalf of his cousin. I was embarrassed to say a few polite words to him. Before leaving, the director of the marketing department came in with a customer knocking on the door. I heard that this was a big customer who was about to sign a contract. But just as I passed by them, my steps froze. The asset value above the heads of the director of the marketing department and the customer was actually negative. No, is this right? I was fidgeting at my workstation. After our boss finally sent the big customer away with a smile on his face, I mustered up the courage to find him. Boss, there's something I think I must say. I really want to say that people may not be able to find a satisfactory job in their lifetime. Don't let me lose it all at once. The boss was very polite to me because I had helped his cousin before. You tell me. I said sincerely, I suggest you check that client and your marketing director quietly. The boss narrowed his eyes. Do you think there is something wrong with them? I nodded. I'm sure they have problems, just like I was sure that your cousin's boyfriend was a big shot. I knew that what I said was nonsense, and our boss hesitated for a moment, but didn't kick me out of the office directly. I guess there is still hope. The marketing director has been my friend for many years, the boss said. Is cheating on friends something niche? I even cheated my own mother. I'll check it quietly. I said it would be best if there is no problem. If there is a problem, can you stop the loss in time? The boss was silent for a moment and raised his hand. Let me take a look. You go to work first. I knew he took my words to heart, so I wisely shut my mouth and quickly left. The following week was uneventful, and I forgot about the matter in my busy work. Until one day, when I was buying coffee at a coffee shop outside the company's office building, my boss quickly paid for me. The suggestions you made that day were very useful, he said with gratitude on his face. I asked the HR department to readjust your salary. He was like a spy meeting. He just left after finishing his speech without any beginning or end. As soon as I returned to my workstation, I saw that our employees were gossiping crazily in the group, saying that the marketing director had planted a big bomb for the company, but fortunately it was discovered by the boss in time. Now, not only has the order from last week failed, but the marketing director also knew that he had let the company down and resigned. Then I saw the email from HR. The boss not only raised my salary, but also gave me an extra half-year bonus. The fragrance of money made me feel happy and motivated all day long. When I went to dinner, I met the boss again. He and another friend of his were coming out of a high-end restaurant. I looked at his friend with my eyes wide open. It's not that he is handsome, but I watched the value of his asset skyrocket by 300 million in the instant just now. I was ecstatic, I was incoherent, and I was as flustered as Kayan. While his friend was away, I immediately slid in front of my boss. Boss, what company does your friend run? My boss was startled by me and immediately realized semiconductor company. He reported the name of the other party's company and then hissed, "You want to change jobs in front of me?" I shook my head seriously. My loyalty to the company is evident to all. God has eyes. Why didn't I think of it before? My boss is the cousin of the rich girl, and he is also a rich boy. Their circle of relationships must have many connections that can help me make a fortune. I went home and bought stocks of that semiconductor. 3 days later, the semiconductor company announced a breakthrough in lithography technology, and its stock price soared, and I made a fortune. That day, I looked in the mirror, watching the asset value on my head continue to rise, and laughed for 3 hours. I worked hard, and while I made a lot of money, I locked in several potential stocks in the suburbs and communities that would be demolished, and bought an old, dilapidated and large house and a new house in the suburbs. When people have money, they really have no worries, and life is getting smoother and smoother. For a whole 6 months, I relied on the previous small means of making money to combine and recycle, and successfully lived a life of lying flat on interest when the wealth I disappeared. During the winter vacation, the animation produced by our company was successfully launched online, and it even broke out in the circle. The boss grinned in the office for a whole day. He was so happy that everyone in the company got a huge bonus and had a good year. Even I, who started to follow up on the project halfway, also received a generous bonus. This stack of bonuses was exactly my sister's annual salary. The resentment of being treated differently by my mother before disappeared, and I was completely relieved. Coincidentally, the news of the demolition of the old communities I had selected was also announced. That night, I imitated Tomcat holding the curtains and danced a waltz to the BGM of "Congratulations, I'm Getting Rich." When my mother approached me again, it had been a year since I went on a blind date with Xiao Zhang, who was in debt of 6 million. My boss set up a branch in a first-tier city in the south. I applied for a transfer and prepared to develop in the south. When the transfer application was approved, I had already found a house in a southern city. I like the climate there very much, and there are tourist attractions around. I can live a good life when I quit my job and fly solo in the future. I have so much money now that I can't spend it all. Buying a new house didn't even affect the amount of money in my account. Money not only gave me confidence, but also gave me emotional stability. So when I saw my mother's long-lost WeChat, I didn't feel the slightest ripple in my heart. My mother asked me to go home for a meal, and I agreed first. She said that I would leave this city the day after tomorrow, and seeing each other would be a farewell second, because I was quite curious about how she and Yuan were living now. I was not used to returning to the house after a year away, and I was even more uncomfortable when I saw my mother coming out of the kitchen with a smile on her face to greet me. I subconsciously looked behind me. My sister was not behind me either. "Ah, what's wrong with my mom? Baby, you're back. Come in quickly. Mom has made your favorite dish." I got goosebumps. "Are you sleepwalking?" "I'm a fan that you won." My mom's smile froze, and she said in an embarrassed tone, "Mom knows." That was even more wrong. I'm a suspicious person by nature. The more enthusiastic she is, the more alert I am. I put down my bag and immediately picked it up again, ready to run away any time. Seeing that I was about to leave, my mother was in a panic. Baby, calm doesn't mean anything else. It's just that I haven't seen you for so long. Mom misses you. Unfortunately, this family card didn't work on me. I'm really not familiar with my mom. I said bluntly, why did you call me back? Just say it, don't beat around the bush. My mother sighed, frowned, and sat down at the dining table. It's about your sister. That's none of my business. I turned around and walked straight out the door. Hey, don't. My mother grabbed my arm. Just a meal, please. I pushed her hand away. Hey, tell me what's wrong with your daughter. The job you bought is not going well, so you want to buy a more relaxed and higher paying job? My mother hesitated. It's your brother-in-law's family owes a lot of money, and your sister is also involved. Now the wedding house has been sold, and our family's money is to fill the hole in your brother-in-law's family. Brother-in-law? I laughed. The family I ran to in the restaurant a year ago? My mother replied, embarrassedly, yes, so it turns out that Yuan really married the family with a debt of 60 million, and I was not invited to the wedding. This sister is not doing well now. Why is she complaining to me? But my mother's vision of judging people is also amazing. First, she introduced me to a blind date with a debt of 6 million, and then turned around and found a good husband for Yuan with a debt of 60 million. 6. I leaned against the wall in a relaxed manner. So you called me here to ask me for money? When my mother heard that my tone seemed to be negotiating, her eyes lit up. No, no. How can I have the face to ask you to patch up the holes of other people's families? It's just. He smiled awkwardly. Where do you live now? Your brother-in-law's family has sold all the houses and has no place to live. So they had to come back with you one and live in this house. Tom can't stand so many people. Can I move in with you? Let me serve you, and then let my sister enjoy it, right? I said happily, no, Auntie. My mother's face froze. To be honest, I'm not really familiar with you, I continued. Although we are mother and daughter, we have only spent about 100 days together from childhood to adulthood. I am more familiar with the property aunt than you, and I'm leaving this city. My mother said nervously, where are you going? I shrugged. I'm busy with work and have a lot of business. I have to fly all over the country. Then you must have a place to stay, right? My mother pleaded, trying to grab my sleeve. Take me with you, I'll clean and cook for you. I brushed her hand away again and repeated to her what she had said to me. I know my mother inherited my father's estate, but I never knew it was so generous so. Now I know it's all for your precious daughter. My mother choked and looked hesitant. 2 seconds later, she put on a hurt look again. I am your mother. I worked so hard to give birth to you. Did I let you give birth to the baby? I sneered. You enjoyed it when we had sex, and you didn't want to take care of me after you gave birth. Now you have the nerve to blackmail me morally. If you have the energy, you'd rather regret why you didn't buy a condom more than 20 years ago. I guess she didn't expect me to speak so bluntly. My mother's face turned red. I followed Gu Yi's example, picked up the apple cider vinegar on the table, and slowly poured it on the dishes. In the future, I will give you alimony according to the law, not a cent more. You have never raised me, so I will not personally take care of you in your old age. If you really want to find someone to settle the bill for the 10 months of pregnancy, go find your husband. You love Yuan so much, and it is natural for her to take care of you when you are old and sick. If she doesn't want you, then you can only blame your education. You deserve it. If you dare to have any bad thoughts, want to morally blackmail me, or do something extreme to drag me into the water and clean up your mother and daughters, but then I will buy a loudspeaker and play your deeds of giving birth, but not raising, and being partial in the community. Oh yes, this matter can only be ranked second. The first thing I have to do is to spread the fact that Yuan's job was bought by you and let everyone know. By then, your baby will not only have to pay off your husband's debts, but also forget about having a job. I said it in one breath and turned around and left without waiting for my mother to react. My mother was stunned, crying and shouting as she chased after me. As luck would have it, when I got downstairs, I bumped into Yuan, who was returning home. I hadn't seen Yuan for a year, and her appearance had been downgraded a lot. If she still had wealth eyes at this time, I wonder how exciting the debt on her head would be. Yuan froze when she saw me and heard my mother crying and shouting as she chased after me and wondered again, what happened? I smiled slightly. Oh, she wants to run away. Your mother doesn't want you anymore. As I expected, you won't help me stop my mother, who was chasing after me. I walked out of the community amid the sound of the mother and daughter's argument, and I felt particularly comfortable. I am a suspicious, petty, and vengeful person by nature, but as mother and daughter, I still wish them a deep mother-daughter relationship and support for each other for a lifetime. As for me, who is not wanted by my mother since I was a child, I had to reluctantly accept the preference for money.